Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are opening up a real insider masterclass drawn straight from top-tier editorial guidelines. Whether you're writing technical reports, professional emails, or even creative fiction, understanding the mechanical anatomy of a sentence is literally the ultimate secret to dramatically sharpening your writing precision. Now, to keep us from feeling overwhelmed by just a random list of grammar rules, we're going to use this blueprint to build our structure from the ground up. We'll start with the foundation in section 1, building the sentence core, move on to 2, mastering nouns and verbs, add some color in 3, modifiers, adjectives, and adverbs, and finally finish with the connective tissue in 4, navigating prepositions and pronouns. All right, section 1, building the sentence core. This signals our shift right into the absolute foundational elements of English syntax. So, at the core of every single declarative statement, which is really the backbone of English syntax, are 2 essential elements. You've got the subject, which identifies who or what the sentence is about, and the predicate, or verb, which tells us what the subject does, experiences, or just is. And point of fact, every declarative statement requires these 2 core components. Notice how perfectly this foundation holds up even in tiny 2-word sentences. Alice fell. The cat smiled. Carol wrote. You really don't need a lot of words to have a structurally complete thought. You just need those 2 core pieces. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we distinguish between simple and complete elements when we analyze a sentence's structure. Up top, birds fly well relies on the simple subject, birds, and the simple predicate, fly. But look at the bottom example. The complete subject becomes most birds in the United States, and the complete predicate brings in modifiers to create fly well. The core mechanical frame remains exactly the same, even when we completely expand the sentence. It's pretty cool, right? Moving right along on our anatomy journey, let's step up to section 2, mastering nouns and verbs. This is where we look at the primary actors actually living inside our broad sentence frame. Okay, so nouns are the words that name persons, places, things, or concepts. And getting this right, proper categorization, is a crucial editorial skill, because correctly identifying your noun ensures proper subject-verb agreement later on in your sentence. Now, while people, places, and tangible things like an iPhone are super easy to spot, pay special attention to that 4th column, abstract concepts. Words like precision, well-being, organization, or science, those are nouns too, and they behave structurally just like a person or a place. Next up, we have our verbs, which express an action or a state of being. And when we map out verb tenses, we get this incredibly organized grid, establishing exactly when an action actually occurs. Check out how the main verbs are paired with auxiliary or helping verbs to alter the time frame. Saying, today I call my Nana, is simple present tense. But when you add auxiliaries to make it, I have called my sister or I am phoning, you completely shift the nature of the action to perfect or progressive tenses. It conveys absolutely crucial information about timing. All right, we've reached the point in our masterclass for some rapid-fire troubleshooting on 3 commonly confused verb pairs. First up, sit versus set. So, the crucial point is understanding the difference between intransitive verbs, where the action is done by the subject alone, and transitive verbs, which absolutely must have a direct object receiving the action. I sit down is intransitive, but I set the books down is transitive, simply because the books are receiving the action of being set. Let's keep that energetic rhythm going and instantly solve our second commonly confused pair, lie versus lay. It follows the exact same rule. I lie down is an action done by the subject, right? But if you're using lay, it requires an object. You lay the books down. And to deliver the final punch in this troubleshooting sequence, let's cement the rule with rise versus raise. You rise up on your own, intransitive, but you raise the books up, transitive. Mastering these specific distinctions is a professional editing secret that will instantly elevate the authority of your writing. No joke. Okay, so now that we have our core actors perfectly placed, it's time for section 3, modifiers, adjectives, and adverbs. This is where we get to add color, detail, and specific word order variations using those modifiers. Let's treat this next tip like an exclusive VIP editor's desk secret. When you're using adjectives to compare things, there are strict cautions you need to follow. First, never use double comparisons. Write hardest, not most hardest. Second, and this is a huge one, do not compare absolute adjectives. A word like unique means one of a kind, right? Therefore, something cannot be very unique or most unique. Absolute states like unique, dead, or pregnant literally do not have degrees of comparison.
Now, in formal and technical writing, you really have to ensure clarity when multiple words gang up to describe a noun. By grouping words with hyphens, as you see here, you create a single adjectival unit right before a noun. It's the 4-year-old girl, or a by the numbers process. And when multiple compound modifiers share a base word, you use a hanging hyphen, like short and long-term solutions. It tells the reader exactly how the words link together before they even reach the noun.
When it comes to adverbs, which modify verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs, placement is basically everything. Think of this next part like a mini murder mystery. And this brilliantly illustrates how moving a single limiting adverb completely changes the reality of who the culprit is or what they did. Read that first bullet. Only Mr. Morton broke the vase. That means no one else broke it. Now the second, Mr. Morton only broke the vase. That implies he did nothing else to it. He didn't hide it or glue it back together. Now the third, Mr. Morton broke only the vase, meaning he didn't break the lamp or the window, right? One single word, 3 completely different scenarios. Let's quickly dispel another common writing error by walking through this comparison chart to solidify proper usage. Farther is strictly for physical distance, like he ran the farthest. Further is for figurative distance or extent, like he went the furthest in school. Likewise, good is an adjective used to describe nouns, as in he is a good writer, but well is an adverb that modifies actions, he writes well, or it's an adjective specifically meaning healthy, as in my child is well. And just like that, we have officially reached Section 4, Navigating Prepositions and Pronouns. This is the final section of our sentence anatomy where we secure the joints of our structure using prepositions, pronouns, and complements. So prepositions link nouns to other elements to show spatial or logical relationships, but here is another vital editor's note on how to use them professionally. First, clean up those extraneous words. Eliminate redundant prepositions. Change off of to simply off, or beside of to just beside. Second, avoid awkward terminal positions. You always want to rephrase sentences so they don't end on a dangling preposition. Instead of writing, he is the person I gave this to, revise it to I gave this to him. Let's move to pronouns and see how this builds, since pronouns replace previously stated nouns. This table outlines the nominative, objective, and possessive cases, but pay special attention to the modern editorial standard highlighted here. In modern English, they, them, and their are the standard singular pronouns used for an individual whose gender is unknown or irrelevant. Crucially, though, when using singular they, you pair it with a plural verb form, just like you do with singular you. So you write they are rather than they is. Let's run through these best practices energetically, because following these rules prevents some really embarrassing mistakes. First, because pronouns acting as the object of a preposition must be in the objective case, you absolutely must write between Bob and me, never between Bob and I. Second, avoid singular gender assumptions by making the subject plural. Third, eliminate ambiguity, so every single pronoun points to one clear antecedent. And fourth, don't carelessly shift your point of view between you and one in the same sentence. We conclude our structural analysis with complements. These really act as the final puzzle pieces that keep a predicate from feeling grammatically unfinished. I mean, if you just write Tara edited, it feels like it's kind of hanging in midair, right? Adding a direct object makes it Tara edited the report. Adding a predicate adjective after a linking verb gives us the edit looks clean. These elements complete the grammatical construction and lock the sentence's meaning securely into place. So, armed with this structural blueprint, here's the question you need to ask yourself right now. Is your next email actually saying what you think it means? By consciously applying these top-tier editorial skills, matching your subjects and predicates, choosing the right transitive verbs, and carefully placing your limiting adverbs, you are now totally empowered to write with absolute precision. So take these tools, apply them to your own writing, and watch your clarity soar. Thanks for diving into this with us.